This has, without a doubt, been the best year of music, at least in my lifetime, probably. I kid you not, every single one of my favorite musicians released music this year. I will say this list will be in chronological order, so we're going to start off in January and make our way through the year by month. This is apparently the final installment in the story that is The Weeknd, and I think he's had a very clear idea of what he's wanted this character to be and where he wanted it to end up. Even though I think he reached his peak with Beauty Behind the Madness, Starboy, and After Hours, I'm glad that we ended up getting both Dawn FM and Hurry Up Tomorrow. Even though the final two projects didn't have songs that did numbers like Blinding Lights, the most streamed song of all time, or sell as many copies as Beauty Behind the Madness, his best-selling album, the story of The Weeknd wouldn't have felt complete without them. This is not an album I go back to as much as I would like, because with every new release, the older ones get pushed further and further back in my mind as the new ones start to occupy my headspace. But as for actual songs on the album, there are a few that are still in my rotation, like surprisingly Timeless with Playboi Carti. I say surprisingly because when it was first released just as a single, I didn't like it, but hearing it with the rest of the album made me love it for some reason. Some other songs that stand out to me as well are Give Me Mercy and Drive. This is by far my favorite style of music The Weeknd does, is just pure synth pop. One of my favorite songs of all time is actually an unofficial single for this album. It's Dancing in the Flames. I can't wait to see your face crash. There's just something about the way his voice sounds with that style of production that makes it feel so fresh. Blinding Lights is the same way. Every time I hear that song, it feels like it's the first time I'm hearing it again. There's just something about it when he goes for an 80s synth pop, it just does something to me. It's so good. I don't think this is Inhaler's best album, but as I was compiling this list, I went back and listened to it, and it's filled with hit after hit. The opening track, Eddie's in the Darkness, is one of the best opening tracks of the year. Your House was one of my favorite songs of last year, and they also gave us some new songs like Billy Yeah 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 and Concrete. I remember when this album was released, a lot of people online were not really vibing with it, because compared to their two previous albums, they did take it in a more pop direction, but I, on the other hand, really enjoyed what they did with this. There are a lot of elements in it that remind me a lot of Coldplay, and then there's a ton of influence from U2, which makes sense because Elijah Houston, the lead singer of Inhaler, is literally Bono's son. I want to talk about Arthur Hill for a second. He has yet to release an album, but he did put out two very good EPs this year, one on Valentine's Day and one on Halloween. I think Arthur Hill is one of the best up-and-coming pop singers out of the UK. I think these two projects really show his promise. Off the first EP, Hey Arthur went viral on TikTok, and even songs like Late for the Reservation, also off that first EP, and Appetite off the second, have been gaining a lot of traction online. My favorite from this year was Life of the Party, which was the final song on the first EP. I had that song on repeat for about 3 days after that album came out. It was like the only song I was listening to for 3 days. What I like about him is that he has a very clear voice, which is nice to hear. You're gonna hear me say this a few times in this video, but this is one of the best albums I think I've ever heard. It's my most streamed album of the year. Sam Fender's my most streamed artist, and not to mention my most streamed song of all time is Arm's Length. That was released January 24th of this year, and I've listened to it for almost 5,000 minutes. I think it's one of the greatest songs I've ever heard. It's so simple, and it works so well. Another song that has taken over my listening habits for the year is the second song, Nostalgia's Lie. This song makes me nostalgic for right now. I don't know how to explain it, and I hope this makes sense. I think of it as future me is looking back at me now listening to this song. Go listen to that song for yourself and maybe you'll understand what I'm trying to say. last few songs I want to talk about are TV Dinner, Remember My Name, and then a few off the deluxe. I'll start with TV Dinner because it comes first in the track list. This is one of the most visual songs I've ever heard. Music is already a very visual thing for me, but this song in particular is like a movie playing out in my mind. I picture it as the villain anthem in a movie. This is that build-up, it's that turning point when they decide to be evil. It's filled with anger and hate and eventually builds to a point where it's all released and there is no turning back. It just perfectly plays out in my mind. I'm very quickly going to talk about Remember My Name because I fear if I dwell on it for too long, I will get emotional. This is probably the saddest song of the year. It's from the perspective of his grandfather, who is taking care of his wife, so Sam's grandmother, while she's dying with dementia. Extremely sad, okay? Don't even get me started on the music video. When he's driving home alone to an empty house, I almost broke down the first and only time I watched it. It is a song I go back to the least on the album because it is so heavy, but sometimes I need to push through my emotions just to hear the story because he is an amazing storyteller. In December, he released a deluxe with 8 added songs, Me and the Dog, Tyrants, and The Treadmill being my 3 favorites. In my mind, The Treadmill is like People Watching Part 2. It gives the same kind of energy. As of right now, in this exact moment, I do like The Treadmill a little bit more, just because People Watching the single was released back in November of last year, and I think I've kind of over-listened to it within the last year. Recency bias is a real thing, and that's probably why I like The Treadmill a little bit better. I think this is Tate's best album, and I feel like I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. Obviously, the charts and the album sales show that people are listening to it and buying it, but I haven't heard anyone actually talk about it, at least not in a positive way. I understand some of the criticism she gets, like people like to say she's too childish. Sure, but the only songs that those people have heard are Sports Car or Greedy. But when you dig deep and really hear what she's saying, you'll realize that she is a very mature writer. Even on this album alone, we have songs like Siren Sounds, Nostalgia, and Purple Lace Bra. If you hear that song and still view her as childish, you're the problem. I'm sorry, it's true. I understand if people are just not a fan of her music, that's fine. She's one of those artists that you either click with or you don't. If you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you don't, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, I do think she is a really good pop star. Even if you don't like her music, you can still acknowledge that, you know what I mean? Not only did she put out this album in February, later in the year, in November, she also released a deluxe, which had some good songs. The best being, and one of the best songs in her entire discography, is Trying On Shoes. I still can't get over that song. The way she's able to convey emotions in it is like no other. The harp in it too adds so much. It makes me feel like I'm floating every time I hear it.
Take a quick trip. I think I'm about to bet my life on it. New York night with a quick sip. A sentimental way to get the
This is a very quick and easy album to listen to. It's 10 songs, obviously, and it's about half an hour in length. Each song is incredible. He's always reminded me of a mix of a style of the production on Childish Gambino's Awaken My Love with Frank Ocean's voice.
It don't matter what I said, you made your mind up, now you let it fly, but everything is moving on.
If you're someone who's missing the presence of Frank Ocean, and I guess Gambino now too, since apparently Bando Stone was his final album, but if you're missing the two of them, I would highly recommend this album, and just Q in general. He has some great songs, like Today's one of my favorite songs. I love that song so much. But this album has some really good songs on it too.
That's what I went for, and I destroyed it. I'm falling off a skateboard, I'm on the floor, now I'm limping to the therapist. Whoa, whoa, come.
I debated even putting this album on the list because technically it is from 2024, but the deluxe was released in April of this year. This was one of my top albums of last year, and the 6 new songs that he added made it even more perfect. I won't talk about it as in depth as some of the others, but I will say the song Hail Mary with Sierra Farrell is one of the best duets of the year.
We're
we could just go out and throw a lace Hail Mary.
I'm not really into country music as a genre, but Shaboozey is one of my only exceptions. Some people like to say, oh, Shaboozey, he's not real country, he's fake, he's a fake country artist. Those people that say that can shut up. Listen to songs like Fire and Gasoline or East of the Massanutten and tell me otherwise.
Lines you quick, but you can't control the heat. When they're fine.
I do get it. His style is a mix of pop, hip-hop, and country, but just because he has pop and hip-hop elements doesn't get rid of the country in him, you know what I mean? This album was produced incredibly well, and there isn't really a bad song on it. My one issue is that on the deluxe, Vegas isn't part of the track list. It was part of the OG release. It's not really a big deal. It's just kind of annoying that if I want to listen to Vegas, I have to leave the album page now to hear it. This has been an incredible year for Cautious Clay. He released a 2-part album called The Hours, with part 1 being released on May 16th. That's my birthday. And part 2 being released on October 24th. Cautious Clay has been one of my favorite artists for, I think, like 5 years now, at least a very long time. He's like one of the only reasons that I passed grade 10 math, because he's the only one I listened to while I did my assignments. I can't remember, but I think it was 2020. Anyway, he's someone who I've listened to very consistently since then, and these 2 projects have slowly been creeping up to becoming my favorite. It hasn't passed Deadpan Love yet, but it's very close. Some of the standouts from the first project are Traffic, The Plot, Father Time is one of my songs of the year. Every time I hear it, I want to get up and do things. I don't know why, I feel very productive when I hear it, but I don't actually do anything.
Time is gone.
The deep end off part 2 might be top 5 Cautious Clay song. It might just be, I'm gonna say it, it might be top 5. It has everything I love about Cautious Clay's music. Like literally every element, perfect. I love it. Oh my god.
Said, baby, what's the tea? I say you're not good for me.
There's only one feature across both projects, and it's Q-Tip. You know, the one from the best rap group of all time, A Tribe Called Quest. Yeah, that Q-Tip. It's so crazy that at 55 years old, Q-Tip still sounds almost exactly the same as he did on The Low End Theory or Midnight Marauders when he was in his early 20s. It's an incredible feature from one of the best to ever do it.
And you smile later, confiding that you couldn't wait. All the magic and charisma got us moving like a thriller. You a PYT.
I wasn't sure if I wanted to talk about Blush because at the end of the day, it doesn't feel like a Kevin Abstract album. It feels like an Everybody Else album that Kevin Abstract is also just a part of. I do think he works best in a group like Brockhampton. They had 20 members and they were extremely successful. But I feel like if the features on a project equate to more screen time than the main artist, is it not just a group project at that point? I figured I would talk about it very quickly because I like more than half of the songs on this album. Some of the standouts are Nola. The energy in JPEG's feature on top of Quedeca's production is unmatched. Dominic Fike and Kevin Abstract have incredible chemistry on songs like Geezer and Doggy. Love Spells was another highlight. I didn't know who he was going into this project, but coming out of it, he's gained a new fan. Some of the best songs are 97 Jag and Post Breakup Beauty, and he does the main part of both of those songs. I don't really have much more to say other than this was a pretty good album. It just kind of sucks that the best parts of a Kevin Abstract album were not Kevin Abstract. Maroon is a great song, it's just Dominic Fike. Abandon Me is probably my favorite, and that's just a Quedeca song. I wish that Kevin Abstract had played a bigger role in his own album, and that's all it comes down to. This may be a controversial take. I don't think this is Quedeca's best album. Let me explain. I think Vanisher has some of Quedeca's best songs, but I think as a whole album, Haunt You is better. I can listen to singular songs off of Vanisher when I'm out and about, walking around, shopping. I can't do that with Haunt You songs, because what? Am I going to listen to Sorry for Dying or Memories You Lost in Translation when I'm getting groceries? No, I'm going to be depressed in the produce aisle. but I can do that with songs off of Vanisher. I feel like I don't need the full context of Vanisher to enjoy it. Whereas the context in the story of Haunt You is the most important part. And I'm not saying that the story of Vanisher is bad. It's not. It's great. It's incredibly well written and amazingly produced. No one can world build the way that Quadeca does. I just think it might have been a little overglazed online. I'm sorry. And Quadeca has such a hardcore fan base that I know I'm gonna get heat for everything I just said. I need you to know, this is my second most streamed album of the year. Okay, I love this project. I also think it's good to have some criticisms. I don't think I said anything negative, so maybe I'll be fine. Hopefully. Anyway, on to the songs. This album has one of the best 3-song runs that I've heard in a very long time. It starts with At a Time Like This. I remember the first time I heard that song, it was like 5 months ago, so it's not that hard to forget, I guess. My immediate thought hearing it was, this is everything I love about music. From the lyrics to the production to even just the pace of the song, I think it's a perfect song. I think it might be Quadeca's best, honestly. Every time I hear this song, which is often, I feel this like energy building up in my throat, and I just want to like scream because of how amazing this song is. The next song in this trio is Monday. This was one of the singles. It was my favorite of the 3, actually. And hearing it with the rest of the album, I love it even more now.
Darling, don't you give up on a Monday. I wanna tell you
I think it's such a good break between the energy that At a Time Like This had and the energy that Dancing Without Moving has.
I wanna see you get low with the setting sun. I wanna spin you back around in front of everyone. Show me everything.
If you didn't know, this is a concept album about a sailor who is going on a voyage. When this album was released, Quadeca purposely didn't go into detail about the story. He did drop some hints, like Monday's a love song, and then we have like the Great Bakunawa later in the album, which is a moon-eating dragon from the Philippines, so that's sick. We have some of the puzzle pieces, but we don't know what picture we're trying to build yet. A lot of the details were up to the interpretation of the listener. So I'm very quickly going to tell you my perspective of this story that he's telling. This is not fact. This is just how my brain plays out the album. We have a sailor who is debating on whether or not he should go on this trip. The first 3 songs, No Questions Asked, Waging War, Ruin My Life, I think those are an internal monologue of this character. And it's in Ruin My Life where he decides to go on this journey.
I might have to ruin to make it.
And we have At a Time Like This, Monday, Dancing Without Moving. These are the high points of the album. As much as he wants to go back on shore and be with his loved one that he's singing to in Monday or about in Dancing Without Moving, he knows it's too late. He can't turn back. He's past the point of no return. He's stuck out on the water. But this is where there is a shift in energy. I think in Natural Causes, we learn 2 major plot points. One, being the person Monday was dedicated to passed away. Hear me out. Hear me out. There's a line that says, somebody died on Monday. I think Quadeca is too meticulous for that not to relate back to the song. I think he's too detail-oriented for that to be a coincidence. The second major plot point is Quadeca, or, the character he's playing, you know what I mean, realizes that he's about to die as well. There's a sense of paranoia. He's always checking behind his shoulder just in case someone's there, but nothing ever is. Death isn't something you can see, but you can sense. You'll get this impending sense of doom, and that's what he's feeling in this song. That fear gets stronger in the next song. It's full of adrenaline, power, and angst, and that's when the Bakunawa, played by Danny Brown, shows up. And I think the Bakunawa kills him. I think the Bakunawa got him. Foregone is his ideal idea of death. He's reunited with his loved one who died on Monday, and they get to be together in the afterlife. But I think Casper is the real ending. I think he's stuck in this endless state of purgatory, represented by him going in and out of the water. We never see him get out. It just cuts to black and that's the end. Again, everything I just said in the last 2-ish minutes is not fact. Okay, that's just what my brain sees when I listen to the album.
God does like ugly and I could tell. Living check to check, nigga check the mail, another bill. Pimp my brother ain't even.
This is my personal rap album of the year, but I think technically speaking, Let God Sort 'Em Out by Clips is a better album. But favorite and best are two different things, okay? That's why I'm talking about JID rather than Clips. I will admit Pusha T is in my top 5 rappers, but he's not number 1 because that's JID. This was one of my most anticipated albums of the year, and it did not disappoint. It is the follow-up to his incredibly well-received 2022 album, The Forever Story. I personally don't think this is better than that project. In all honesty, I think The Forever Story is one of the greatest albums I've ever heard in my entire life across any genre, so there's that. But God Does Like Ugly is a very good addition to his catalog. And I'm really happy to see that he got some Grammy nominations for this project. I'm glad to see that he's finally getting recognition for his work. My rap song of the year is a second track, Glory.
Early in the morning, got the sun in my eyes. Giving glory to God, I'm alert and alive. I ain't even sleep, I've been working.
The song does have a lot of religious undertones, and even though I myself am not religious, religion is one of my favorite things to talk and learn about. I don't get to talk about that because the person I talk to the most in my life, my younger sibling, is a queer person of color, so I understand the hesitancy there. Even though I'm not religious, sometimes I do like religious music. An album that comes to mind is Name of God by Mustafa. That album isn't relatable to me, but I appreciate it because it's good music. I'm someone who will listen to pretty much any type of music, unless it has like evil undertones, like far-right country music. That has no business being anywhere near my ears. But in Glory, JID talks about his faith in a very respectful manner, so I, as a listener, give him that respect back by listening to what he's saying. I'm just going to say this about Glory. That performance he did on Stephen Colbert got me believing in higher power for 4.5 minutes. I'll say it, because that is one of the best performances I've seen all year. That performance alone is what solidified it as my top rap song of the year. Shout out to the keyboardist, the piano player. He's putting in the work. He's part of the reason why that performance is so incredible. Huge shout out to that guy. I need to talk about the other songs on this project. We only got one single, which was Work, so going into it, I didn't really know what to expect, especially since Work wasn't my favorite. It wasn't a song that I went back to. I think I probably listened to it 5 times from its release to the release of the album. But I was not disappointed when the full project was released. We got an incredible Clips feature on Community. My favorite feature had to have been Vince Staples on VCRs. Vince is also part of my top 5 rappers. He's probably number 2, honestly.
But why wind? This shit get better with time. See the movies now rewinding, my friend. We turn the VCR to dinosaurs, the money.
My first thought when I heard this album and heard all the features on it was, all I need now is Schoolboy Q on the Deluxe, and this might be a perfect rap album, because Schoolboy Q is also in my top 5 rappers. So then, if he was on the Deluxe, this album would have 4 out of 5 of my favorite rappers, which would be sick. Speaking of Schoolboy Q, actually, a lot of people compare On McAfee from God Does Like Ugly to Pig Feet from Blue Lips. And that's probably why I like that song so much, because it reminds me of Schoolboy Q. Shout out to Blue Lips. Also, that album did not get enough love last year. My most streamed rap song, actually, my 3rd most streamed song of all time, period, is Yarn 101. Anyway, God Does Like Ugly has everything that I love about JID. Amazing storytelling, incredible bars. There aren't really any flaws on this project.
We are the hyper youth, yeah. You better dance, you better bounce. You better dance, you better bounce.
Do I think this is the best album I've ever heard? No. It's not even the best album on the list for today. But out of the 15 or so albums I'm talking about today, this is by far the most fun to listen to. If you put on Billie Jean or Go Hard, you're gonna have a good time.
About to go Billie Jean on it. Dance, dance, yeah, I'ma put the steez on it. Put the vibe.
This album only has 3 features, but they're all great. Tia Corinne and JPEG Mafia are both incredible feature artists. And then you have Rebecca Black on See You Dance, and that might be on the podium for the best feature of the year. We both know it right. Speaking of See You Dance, I don't know if it's just me, and maybe it's the Canadian in me, but every time I hear it, I think it's a sample of Promiscuous by Nelly Furtado. It's not a sample, I did look into it. So I guess it's just my brain filling in the Nelly Furtado of it all. I don't know. The samples that are real on this project are another highlight, whether it's Bobby Caldwell on Have to Cry, or their own songs, Punk Tactics on Bust Down, or Omnitrix, my personal favorite JVB song, on What's Up, or the Party Song. Their samples are one of the reasons why people all around the world love their music. Actually, I do have another thing I want to say about the Party Song. This is going to be one of the craziest descriptions and visuals you will ever hear for a song. There's a sound in the first half that makes me feel like, and bear with me here, makes me feel like I'm in a video game and I'm about to be eaten by a massive underwater yet somehow still mechanical monster. What? That's never happened to anyone ever, probably. But thanks to JVB, I now know what that would feel like. This is the sound in the Party Song.
I like to party, I like to get wild. I like to party, I like to go out.
Overall, HYPERYOUTH is a really fun project to listen to, and once you sit down and really listen to some of the things that they're saying in songs like Live Right or Disco Tomorrow, it's also very relatable. My French-Canadian king, Keitra Nada! I love everything Keitra has ever done. Any piece of music he touches turns to gold. He's like the King Midas of DJs. This album does feel like a transition between Timeless and whatever project he puts out next. Keitra Mine too. I'm just saying, I'd be happy with that. By no means is this a quick little EP. It's 12 songs, 34 minutes. It's a full-length project. Sometimes when I'm listening to it just passively, like when I'm writing or just trying to relax after a long day, the songs can melt together because there's no features separating each song. Sometimes I won't notice when one song ends and the next begins, which is fine. House music isn't a genre I ever really tap into. For me, the lyrics are what I attach to in songs. And yes, some house music does have lyrics, but it's not the main focus. But sometimes I need music that isn't overstimulating. I literally just talked about HYPERYOUTH. That is one of the most overstimulating albums of the year. There's so much going on all the time on every song on that album. That's kind of the point though. But sometimes I do just need to sit and relax and listen to some beats. Keitra Nada makes some of the best beats out there. One thing I absolutely adore about Keitra is you can really tell that he cares about his own music. In concert, well, I mean, I've never seen him in concert. I've never been to a concert. But in clips I've seen of his live shows, he's just up on stage and he's vibing. And you can tell that he loves making and listening to his own music. And I think that's a telltale sign that what he's producing is good. I love Keitra Nada so much, dude. He's one of the very few celebrities that I like genuinely care about. Every time I think of him, every time I see him, every time I listen to his music, I always think, I hope everything good happens to Keitra Nada. I hope his life turns out exactly how he wants it to. I love him so much. This is Kamari's second full-length project. Back in 2023, he released his debut, A Brief Nirvana, and still, to this day, I think that's one of the best debut albums I've ever heard. I was kind of nervous that he wouldn't be able to top what he did with A Brief Nirvana. Boy, was I wrong. To Dry a Tear might be better. Just from that first single, Head in a Jar, I knew he was going to treat us well. That song is so Frank Ocean coded, and I know that's a comparison he gets all the time, but you could put Head in a Jar anywhere on the track list for Nostalgia Ultra, and it would fit right in.
Here on your nightstand, I'll spend my life there.
What I'm about to say might be a little strange, and I realize that the way that I function is not normal, just in general, but also when it comes to music. I don't know if anyone else feels music physically, but I do. When I hear songs that are incredible, it like hurts me. There are 3 songs on this project that are extremely painful: Acres, Lord Forgive Me, and the closing track, Apollo 18. Every time I hear these songs, my heart hurts. I think what it is, I just have so much love that is continuously building up throughout the songs that it just all starts pouring out and it just hurts and it's so good.
Lord, forgive me for I've sinned.
Apollo 18 might be the best outro track of all time. It's so melancholic, but it also kind of feels triumphant in a way. Like, sometimes things have to end, but for good reason. I think it's the perfect goodbye.
Wish me luck on my own flight to Mars.
Tell me you got something to give, I want it. I kinda like it when you call me.
This year, I was reintroduced to Olivia Dean through Sam Fender's Rain Me In. They did a duet for that song. And that's what reminded me that she existed. I listened to her album when it came out, her first album, whenever that was released. But it wasn't one that like stuck with me. So I never really continued to listen to it after that listen. But I figured this year I would revisit her and see what she's been up to. And she's been up to a lot. 3 singles for this album are Song of the Year contenders, with Lady Lady being my favorite. That song is about growing up. Every time I hear that song, I just think, oh, she just gets it. She just understands life so well. And she's able to express those thoughts so well.
That lady, she's the man. I think she got a master plan. It's something I don't.
This project was released at the perfect time. It came out end of September, just in time for Thanksgiving, actually. And a lot of the underlying themes in songs like So Easy to Fall in Love or I've Seen It are to appreciate the beauty in the small things in life and find love in the tiny moments. And I feel like that's perfect for the Thanksgiving season.
I could be the twist, the one to make you stop. The icing on your cake, the cherry on the top.
I think this is a beautiful album. The vocals, the lyrics, the background instruments, everything is gorgeous. And I'm glad that she is becoming more popular because she seems like such a genuine artist. And I feel like people like her should be the ones in the spotlight and getting all that attention.
Putting up with you is walking on the tightrope. Now you got me tripping, that's another side.
I wasn't expecting Khalid to put out a project this year, especially since there was a 5-year gap between Free Spirit in 2019 and Sincere in 2024. So I was expecting a little bit more time between album releases. But I am glad that he did put out a project this year because I don't think I could have made it another 5 years without Khalid music. Khalid has said that this is the first project that he feels like his true self on, which is amazing. I was watching the clip of him at like a Pride event where he was talking about it, and I was getting so emotional watching him talk about it because all I was thinking was, I'm just so happy that he's happy now. I just love him so much. Okay, about the songs now. Let me just say, Tank Top, Song of the Year. Song of the Year right there. When I listen to a new album, I like to do one full listen through first, and then after that initial listen through, I will go back and listen to songs that caught my attention. Not this album. The first time I heard Tank Top, I had to run it back about 4 more times because it's so good. It makes me want to get up and dance. I don't go out. I don't have friends. I don't drink. There's like 2 bars in town that are open year round, I think. I don't know if that's true, actually. But like, there's no reason for me to go out. But if I were to go out, this would be my song of choice. It would be my pregame. It would be the one I request from a DJ. It would be my everything.
High five in the tank top, pull it off, flaws in the dance floor, getting out.
This album is more upbeat than his previous 3 in actual content and just vibes. We don't have songs that are like Decline from Sincere or Alive from Free Spirit. He seems to be happier in general and more confident in himself, which is amazing. I love that for him. Like in True, for example, he's talking to this guy and he's like, I'm not afraid to admit that I like you. I think we'd be good together if we could make it work. He's showing his confidence in himself now. Or, on the other end of that spectrum, we have songs like Please Don't Call, where he's standing up for himself and setting those boundaries. It just shows that he's really growing as a person and an artist, and I'm happy for him. I love Khalid so much.
Looking down 333, please don't call. 4 shots in, now you're on the phone. I know how you get up there.
He also gave us songs that are just fun to listen to without thinking about the underlying meaning. Like In Plain Sight, the lead single, or Tank Top, or Dumbstruck. As I was looking back through this track list, it was so hard for me to pick a few songs to talk about because every single song is so good. I may be a little bit biased. Khalid is my favorite artist of all time, And I don't think he has a bad song in his discography. So I'm putting that out there. And anything Khalid does, I will probably love it. I think Momentary Lovers is his best vocal performance, maybe of his entire career. The ending of that song amazes me every time I hear it. I find new things I love about that song every time I listen to it.
I leave, she feeling my ghost. You shorty black, but she feeling my pulse. I keep a black touch, give me no host.
You may have noticed that I didn't talk about Clips, Let God Sort 'Em Out. I do think that is the best rap album of the year, but I know for a fact it will be part of everybody's lists. Like, it'll be talked about more than enough times, and you don't need my opinion on it other than it's amazing. It's like the best rap album of the year. I just said that. Instead, I wanted to bring attention to a rap album that I feel like didn't get enough love this year, and that is, of course, There's a Ghost in My House by Armani White. I think this album deserves so much more love and attention, and I think the reason that it wasn't talked about was because hip-hop this year was dominated by the biggest and best artists releasing the biggest and best projects. And by no means is Armani White a small underground artist, but he's not as big as Clips or Tyler or Cardi. But this album is so fun to listen to, and each song is better than the last. He's really putting in his work on songs like Postmodern, Flash Mob, and Say It To Me.
Out 40 cars pulling up, pulling out. Fake love on the headlines. Oh, what you say it to me, say it to me, say it to me.
One of my hype up songs of the year is TTSO Freestyle. If I'm having like a hard time getting out of bed or out the door, I'll play that song like 3 times and I'm ready to go.
Throw that shit on, bitch. I throw that shit on, bitch. I throw that shit on, bitch. I throw that shit on.
This album is like the perfect mix of Dom Valley and 24K Golden, who are both artists I really enjoy and think they're pretty cool. As I said, this album may have slipped under your radar when it was first released, but now you know that it exists, you should go give it a listen. Just like Shabuzi's Where I've Been Isn't Where I'm Going, this is a deluxe from an album that came out last year. I'll be honest, I am kind of just using this as an excuse to talk about Gene Dawson, because I feel like I never hear anyone talk about him. You know how people always say like, oh, this artist is your favorite artist? I feel like that's Gene Dawson. Like, I never hear the average music listener talk about him, which sucks because he's awesome. He's one of my favorite artists. Glimmer of God, this album specifically, is my favorite of his. It was released back in October of last year, and I kid you not, I think about it every single day. I think about it like 3 to 4 times a day, I would say. So obviously, when he announced that it would be getting a deluxe, I was super excited. And on top of that, the 2 singles, Rockabye Baby and White Lighter, were absolutely incredible. All 8 of the added songs are so good. Gospel is the one that stands out the most to me. I mean, this album was already perfect, and adding 8 more pretty perfect songs, it didn't change my opinion of it in a negative way. I'd say it probably changed it in a positive way. Gene Dawson is such a unique artist. You can't get what he does from anybody else. As much as they might try to copy his style, you can't get better than the real thing. Back when Learn to Swim was released, I remember hearing a lot of people talk about it like it was the best thing they'd ever heard. Like it was Red Veil's Peak, it was his magnum opus. I do think that is a really good album, but like he was also 18 when he made it. And if he can do something like that at 18, he's only gonna get better with time as he grows up. That's exactly what happened with Sankofa. People are now saying they could see his career have a trajectory like Tyler the Creator's, which would be pretty cool. And actually, some of the songs on this album, Red Veil's voice does remind me a lot of Tyler's music. They have that same kind of like drive and power in what they're saying. This album has some incredible features, my favorite being Smino on Brown Sugar. Smino is so sick. I love him so much. He's so cool. It's interesting because even though this album isn't as chill sounding or feeling as Smino's music, it does remind me a lot of him. Maybe it's his flow, I don't know. Sometimes when I listen to this album, my brain will just fill in the quieter spots with Smino ad-libs. It's kind of weird, I don't know.
Brown sugar, where you at? Where you at? I ain't gonna go look.
Okay, the last thing that I have like written in my notes about this album is just mini-me brackets fire 4 exclamation points. I don't remember what I was going to say about that song, but I obviously really liked it. I mean, I didn't say fire about any of the other songs that I'm talking about today. So Mini Me is special, but I don't remember why. Even though this is the newest album on the list for today, it came out 10 days ago from when I'm recording this, it's so good, and it's so jazzy, and it's so soulful, and it's just all around amazing. I can definitely picture myself listening to it throughout the next little while. I think to close out this video, I'm going to talk about a few songs that I think are worth a mention that were either part of an album I didn't talk about, or just a one-off single that I really enjoyed. This is from Good Neighbor's debut album, Blue Sky Mentality. If I remember correctly, it was one of the earlier singles, but they've been releasing singles for this project for about 2 years now, so I can't really remember. I love a Good Neighbor's moment, but I think a lot of the songs on this album sound very similar, and this is just the one that stands out to me. It has an electronicness that reminds me a lot of Fred again, who I think is pretty cool.
You can take control of how my heart beats.
When this song came out, it had me in a chokehold. It still kind of does, to be honest. It's so good. I think Omar Apollo was an incredible feature, and I do like his part a little bit more than Malcolm's, but that also could just be because I like Omar's other music more than Malcolm's other music. With all that being said, I do think it is still a really good duet, and I love this song so much.
I wanna run, I wanna dance, I wanna look good cause I can. I wanna make good on my plans, I wanna live into the...
This was the song of the summer for me. Well, I mean, it came out in April, which I guess is a bit early for the song of the summer, but I listened to it like 3 times every day from May to August. It has the perfect folky, upbeat kind of energy that is necessary for the summer months. Also, Danielle, the singer of this song, is one of the main producers for Lyrical Lemonade. It's cool to hear what he's done over there and compared to this because they're opposite ends of the spectrum, but he excels at both.
What I know is when the night...
I think I've said what I needed to say about Khalid. He's one of my favorite artists of all time. I also don't think he has a bad song in his catalog, and I think this song is a perfect addition to a perfect discography. This was a collab that he did with Rudimental back in April, and it was at the top of my on repeat playlist for a very long time, so I thought it was worth a mention.
Where'd you come from? Where'd you go? Some old highway down the coast.
This is a huge shift from Bryce Vine's usual style. He's like a pop punk kind of guy. I don't know. This is like an indie folk borderline country song. I love Bryce Vine so much. He's one of my most streamed artists of all time. Well, the last 6 years since I downloaded Spotify, but he's like number 15, I think. I love his regular style that we give like American Dream or Empty Bottles, but I like hearing this side of him. It just shows how versatile of an artist he is. It's interesting to hear James Marriott's music because he was a YouTuber I was absolutely obsessed with like 8 years ago when he was doing commentary on like Liza Koshy and Lele Pons. It's cool to see where he started almost a decade ago to now having a #1 album on the UK charts. I really love this album, but I just didn't know what to say about it, so that's why I didn't talk about the full thing. I do think that the intro Ventriloquist and the outro Limbs are absolutely stunning. They set the mood perfectly.
Lord forgive me through whatever endeavors. It's JID, baby, I'm just a few letters. Take a look, I'm about to break a record. Put me in the books, I'm bound to be.
This is, in my opinion, the rap feature of the year. I don't really have a ton of history with Offset. I mean, Migos were cool, rest in peace Takeoff, of course, but they were never really my vibe. JID, on the other hand, that's my guy. That's my favorite rapper of all time. I talked about him earlier. You know my thoughts on JID. He's so consistent with every bar. I think he out-rapped Offset on Offset's own song, and I think that's a pretty good qualifier for feature of the year.
They watch shit. I'm like white bitches the way I pop shit. I need God to play the lead in my biopic.
Earlier, I said I wasn't going to talk about clips. I gotta talk about clips. I think Tyler's verse on POV is the second best rap feature of the year. Tyler, the Creator, isn't someone who I ever really listened to. Not that I think he's a bad artist. I think he's a great artist, and I will always praise someone who is able to express their creativity in ways that are meaningful to others. But I just never think about Tyler, the Creator. That's all it comes down to. I just don't think about him. I don't know. It's weird. It's interesting that his feature stands out to me the most when Let God Sort Him Out has features like Kendrick or Nas, and those are two artists I listen to 10 times more than Tyler. Listen, I've been a Dijon fan for years. My favorite EP of all time, hands down, is How Do You Feel About Getting Married? And on top of that, I think Absolutely is one of the best albums ever made, probably. I don't want to say I was disappointed with Baby, this album, but for me, it didn't reach that bar that Absolutely had set, especially not after 4 years. This song, Yamaha, is phenomenal. It is the only song that I've gone back to after my first few listens of the album. Sometimes I will tap into Higher or Kinda Love, but not as often as Yamaha.
Put your love in where your mouth is. You should.
This is off of Sabrina Carpenter's new album, Man's Best Friend, which I do think it was a good album, it just didn't hit me as hard as Short and Sweet did. Sugar Talking is probably my favorite on this project, or it's probably a tie between this and My Man on Willpower. I feel like those two songs don't get talked about enough. It's always Man-Child or Tears, which, to be honest, I do understand the hype for Tears. When I first saw that music video, I almost screamed because I love Coleman Domingo so much, and he's the main part in that music video. Off this album, you also had songs like When Did You Get Hot or House Tour that have gone pretty viral on TikTok. And I just wanted to bring attention to Sugar Talking and My Man on Willpower because I do think they are the best songs, or at least the most underrated songs on that album.
Get me like a juicy paper. I don't have to be your favorite for the slow.
This is the easiest song to listen to. I put it in the same category as like Smithson by Isaiah Huron. I don't know if anyone knows that song. Probably a lot of people do. It's a good song. It was one of my top songs of last year, actually. They're both very calming songs, but it switches it up just enough throughout it that by the end, you're missing what you heard from the beginning. So then you just listen to it over and over and over again. It's one of those songs that you can have on as background noise, but every so often you'll catch yourself like vibing along to it. And on top of everything I just said, Jordan Ward has such an addicting voice. It's so good and it's so soothing. Every time I hear one of his songs, I end up going down a rabbit hole of all of his songs. And I'm so pumped for his album that comes out, I don't know, next month sometime. I think it's like January sometime. So excited for that.
No, I should stay away, but I can't. I'm too drunk to be evil.
Son of Spurgey was a really good album. I just didn't think it was Daniel Caesar's best. I will forever be a Never Enough fan. That album has Pain is Inevitable on it. Yeah, that's like the best song I've ever heard. I'm kidding, but it is really good. I do think Daniel Caesar is one of the most consistent artists in modern R&B. Each one of his albums has their high points. I just think Son of Spurgey has less high points than the other three. It does still have songs I absolutely love, like Have a Baby With Me or Root of Evil.
I took some risks, whoa. Remember times I was pissed, oh, flooded, pissed.
One of my favorite Kendrick Lamar songs is Dodger Blue from GNX. So when I saw that Wally the Sensei and Roddy Ricch put out another song together, I decided to check it out. And I obviously liked it enough to talk about it today. I think what I like about it is the way that Roddy Ricch like drags out some of his words. It's very satisfying to my brain. I don't know why.
The world is moving, we were never meant to stay, but I was working on the world. I guess I thought.
This song has been making its rounds on TikTok long before it was even announced to be released. Every few months it will pop back up again. It gives me the same kind of energy that Run does, the song I talked about a few minutes ago. It has that kind of get up and go energy. Same with Father Time when I talked about Cautious Clay. It has that same kind of feeling of like, oh, I should be productive, but I'm probably not going to be. You know what I mean?
Oh, let me flow, darling. The world looks so.
This is from an album that is only on vinyl, so I haven't actually heard the full project. But Sam Henshaw is one of my favorite artists, and I can guarantee if I had heard the entire album, it would have been featured on my list for today. I do understand why he did vinyl only. Streaming sites do not pay artists enough money, period, okay? But I kind of feel like right now maybe wasn't the best time to do exclusively physical media. A lot of people, including myself, either don't have a record player, can't afford a record player, and on top of that, can't afford the vinyl itself, or alternatively, can't afford to travel or buy tickets to the very few live shows he did with this project. But Out of the 2 singles that he did release to streaming sites, this was my favorite. I just wish I could have heard it with the full project.
Whoever compare me to them, they was underprepared in the end. I was bred in the violence of poverty. I would die for I feel it again.
I first found Mavi about 2.5 years ago. He was a feature on one of my favorite rap albums, which is Panic by Canadian rapper Toby. So I've been keeping up with him ever since then. I liked Shadowbox when it was released last year, and the singles that he's been putting out for this album have also been pretty good, like Potluck with Smino and Landgrab with Earl Sweatshirt. I think those are the right features. It might be switched. I can't remember. And this album was also pretty good. I didn't keep it in my rotation. It is only like 3 weeks old at this point, so who knows, in the future I might come back to it and find love for it again. But as for right now, there's only one song that I'm continually listening to, and that's Typewriter. Let me just say, the instrumentation in that song, stunning. It's perfection. It makes me feel like I'm a detective in like a 1920s crime movie. I love it. It's cool. This is an album that was released 5 days ago from when I'm recording this, so I haven't been able to form a full opinion on the entire project yet. But the reason that I like this song, Every Knife in the House Was Mine, because it reminds me so much of Analog Horror series on YouTube. I can't pronounce it, I'm so sorry. It reminds me specifically of White Stag Education, rest in peace, also it's no longer going on, which makes me so sad. This album is very different from my usual listenings. I just talked about Tate McRae and Kate Renata. Like, this Land of Pine is so singular within my taste, but that's kind of why I like it. I love hearing different styles of music. Even though I haven't formed a full opinion of it yet, I know that I like it. As I said at the beginning of the video, this was one of the best years for music, and there are tons of incredible albums that I didn't talk about today. Just to name a few, so these I guess are my honorable mentions of the year, I don't know. The Ryans put out their debut, Everything, Every Single Day. I should have talked about that album, actually. I should have also talked about Jeremy Zucker's Garden State. We had Never Enough by Turnstile, Lotus by Little Sim, Kicking My Feet by Rule, Breach by 21 Pilots, dude. McKinley Dixon's Magic Alive. Duran Bernard's Bloom. I should have talked about that. I forgot that came out this year. Oh my god, that was such a good album. We had Shelby by Lou Phelps. I think it's pronounced Shelby. It's spelled like Chelbe, I think, but there's a accent on the E's. I don't know. But that was produced by Kate Renata because Lou Phelps is Kate Renata's brother. We also got like Concubania by Isaiah Haran, Stardust by Danny Brown. This year was jam-packed with some of the best music I've heard in a very long time. I couldn't talk about all of them because this video would be 4.5 hours long if I did that. With all that being said, I will leave you to it. Go listen to some good music today. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the new year with some super fun, super new content. Bye for now, guys.